All right, so it's October 6th. Man in the High Castle premiered last night. Um, Looks good so far. I've only been able to watch one episode. I would love to binge watch it, but there are other things that I have going on, so I can't just sit and watch TV for 12 hours. Anyway, so yeah, it opened up with a scene, we saw part of what was in the trailer with Juliana and some other soldiers. They shot a bunch of Nazis, and then they picked up a camera and moved on. We get to see the Japanese. It turns out it's the Japanese that are testing an atomic bomb in Monument Valley. Southern Utah, I believe, is the location given. So that's a scene that was from the trailer. One of the funny things I noticed about that scene is that as the shockwave gets closer to the bunkers, you start to think they're a little bit too close, and then they cut to inside the bunker, and they all kind of flinch as the glass shatters a little bit. And they are now under the impression that they have brought parity. It's kind of like basically a new Cold War, where we're going to have nuclear proliferation, and Japan on one side, and the Axis, the Nazis on the other side, who they'll be trying to basically one-up each other for a while. The trade minister, though, does not believe that they're going to be able to do it. He doesn't think they're going to be able to spend enough money, that they're going to go bankrupt. We find out that Joe's in prison and he's being tortured and what I would call reprogrammed. I believe there was a scene in the trailer where we saw someone being dragged down a lit hallway. Well, it turns out that that's Joe being dragged to another room. Basically, they're torturing him. Gets to the point where they think he's had enough. They clean him up, and then, okay, prove your worth by killing your dad. So he's forced to do that, and then he gets this pin that is actually on the flag. The symbol is on the flag that we saw in the trailer. So it'll be interesting if maybe, how that turns out, because I believe the flag had the symbol upside down. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But it's clear that the reprogramming hasn't worked on Joe. I mean, he struggles to shoot his dad, I guess, as anyone would. But if your reprogramming was successful, I wouldn't expect the reaction that he gives. I wouldn't expect the tears. I would have really honestly just expected him to raise the gun and shoot. He's obviously not happy to do it, but he's doing it because he has to. And then we find out later on that he's going to fight back, and it looks like he's defecting.
The shovel.
Then we find out a little bit later that the first film reel was faked. It wasn't from our universe. It was completely fake. They put it. He said, he tells us that he put it together with other things. But something interesting to note about that film reel, Juliana sees herself.
That's me, that little girl.
She's actually in that film reel when she was, I think she says she was either 12 or 7.
I was 7 years old.
Can't remember exactly how old she said she was. And they didn't know that. She asked him, how come you didn't tell me, or when were you going to tell me? And he tells her, I didn't know it was you. So that revelation kind of tells them that this whole, because she's in film reels from our universe, but that tells them that everything revolves around her, and that it's time for her to take over the resistance, because this guy's he hasn't really been leading it, but he's been supplying all these film reels to the resistance so that they can see, what the possibilities are. He says the first film reel was basically designed to kind of rattle the cages, and it turns out it was like kicking a hornet's nest. So there is a active, growing resistance out there, and it's time for her to take it over. And I don't think she really wants to do that just yet. We also saw the Japanese with basically just a stationary firing squad who they're basically just killing people. I don't think it's quite indiscriminately, but anyone who they even suspect of being part of the resistance, anyone who they even think was part of this plot to bomb the building, they're just being lined up and killed. And which is kind of it's disturbing, but that's the way it is in this universe where if you're American, then you're just not to be trusted. In fact, we later see someone interviewed who is the son of they're Japanese and American, and straight from that interview that like, why should we trust you? So they're given a task to prove their worth. And we also find out that Smith, we knew he'd been promoted, but he's now living in a penthouse apartment in New York. It's posh. It's totally decked out. We also see that his wife, she's distraught. She's clearly distraught. He's trying to cope and tell the kids that Thomas was very brave for all this. It's okay to be happy and sad, but she's clearly distraught. The scene in the trailer where they got the guys all lined up along the carpet, that's basically the memorial service for Thomas that they're going to. They go inside, they listen to a long speech, and then what catches them off guard is that their youngest daughter, as the speech is coming to a close, she stands up and she gives the Sieg Heil salute. And then a few other people start standing up and doing this, and before you know it, the whole room has stood up and they're all chanting Sieg Heil and they're giving the salute. Sieg Heil! Except for Smith and his wife. Sieg Heil! They're still sitting there, and I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, you better stand up, because earlier in the scene, the Minister of Propaganda had actually turned the camera onto them, onto their family, to see their reactions. I don't think that was intended to be it was supposed to be like a gotcha or anything like that, but they're trying to basically use this excuse me, as this is propaganda. They're trying to elevate Thomas so high to this is like the quintessential Aryan person, where it turns out he had a degenerative disease and he turned himself into he didn't try to run, he turned himself in. No one knows that Smith tried to hide it. Okay, he was trying to hide it because it's his son and he doesn't want anything to happen to his son. Thomas took and they're really pushing this, that Thomas took this and this is what's got to be done. I got to turn myself in, and it's for the betterment of society, and that's how they lived. That's how they were indoctrinated. So yeah, they're sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, you better stand up, you better stand up. They finally stand up, but they don't salute. I think that might come back to haunt them in later episodes. I'm not sure, but I can't wait to find out. So yeah, I'm super excited about the new season. I can't wait to watch all the episodes. I'll probably have to watch them only one per day, since I wish I could sit and watch them full time and then just do one review of the entire season all at once, but I can't really do that. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you think. If you've watched the whole season, don't spoil it below, because I haven't watched the whole season yet. But if there's anything you want to talk about for the first episode, comment below, and let's see what you guys all think. What do you think is going to happen in the next episode? And I'll probably do a different kind of review for my next video, because I should be able to watch the rest of the season throughout this week and then put up a longer review next weekend. But so far, it looks great to me. Again, I was super excited about it. I, came home and from my day job, and I turned it on, and that's what I watched last night. I was also really tired, so I was gonna watch 2 episodes, but got to the end of the first one and just couldn't quite stay awake, so had to go to bed. I'll definitely watch the second episode tonight. So yeah, let me know what you think, and be sure to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you get notified. And we'll see you in the next one.